Bigtree was an Emmy award-winning producer on the daytime talk show The Doctors for 6 years. With a background both as a filmmaker and an investigative medical journalist, he is best known for combining visually impactful imagery, raw emotional interviews, and unbiased investigative research into stories that push the envelope of daytime television. Some of his most thought-provoking episodes includes a rare televised debate between Monsanto's head of toxicology, Dr. Donna Farmer, and GMO activist Jeffrey Smith, and an expose on a gold standard medical test that mistakenly indicts loving parents for child abuse, causing their children to be remanded to Child Protective Services. When Bigtree began investigating the story of the CDC whistleblower and the fraud perpetrated by the CDC, he soon realized that he had stumbled upon a story of corruption and deception beyond any he had ever seen. Further investigation into the wrongful destruction of Andrew Wakefield's career, orchestrated by Big Pharma and the UK Department of Health, inspired him to focus all his attention on what he believes to be the most crucial documentary of the year. Bigtree is proud to be working side by side with Andrew Wakefield, one of the most important minds of our time, to create this documentary that will not only alert Americans to the outright destruction of their civil liberties, but will lead the charge to demand the formation of a genuine independent research body conducting legitimate science to ensure that all vaccines are truly safe. And I just have one personal note to put on here. Del Bigtree, you are amazing, because when my husband and I first started researching vaccines, the first documentary we watched together was Vaxxed. And at the end of that documentary, my husband said to me, I see what you've been talking about this whole time, and what was an argument here or there now became a cohesive dynamic that we could go forward together as a family. So thank you very much. Thank you. Please welcome Del Bigtree.
You can't handle the truth. You're too stupid to know what the truth is, therefore we're not going to give it to you. That is how this building behind us thinks about us. That's how our health agencies think about us, and that's how our health scientists think about us. In fact, I think there's a governor or mayor somewhere down in Mississippi. We wrote a law to just simply list the ingredients of vaccines, and she vetoed it. It made it all the way through the entire political system and was vetoed because people would misunderstand the facts. They'd make bad choices if we gave them information. You know, today we're surrounded by those of us that clearly already know we have an issue. But I want to say, Brittany, we only made one mistake. We should have set up chairs all the way across this lawn into the National Capitol, because every single one of these chairs represents a family that's imprisoned right now at home with a child that is so injured that they cannot come out and be with us today. This is our future workforce, a field, miles of empty chairs, because people cannot live their lives anymore. They are drowning in debt due to injuries caused by the vaccines we're putting into our kids. Luckily, if you're walking today with a child that is still healthy, you have survived the vaccine program. But these chairs will be empty for miles and miles and miles, and they will cover this nation because we are losing the future generation of America. That is the truth. And what they will tell you is the science is settled, that we've settled it. Vaccines are safe and effective. There is no science being done. There is no vaccine safety. That is the truth. And I'm not making that up. I didn't see some hippie in Boulder, Colorado that told me that. Mark Blaxell points this out all the time. We talk about facts. Here is the fact of vaccine safety science. This is what the top scientists in the United States of America tell us about vaccine safety. We refuse to do a placebo-based vaccine safety trial like every drug you take because it would be unethical. That's their statement. I didn't make that up. It would be unethical to give one group of kids a vaccine and not give the other group of kids a vaccine because we are so sure that vaccines are safe and effective, we must give them to everybody without any safety science at all. 3 or 4 days of safety science for the hepatitis B vaccine. 4 days we watched those children. There was another brand, went 5 days of safety testing. But if your kid died on day 6, hey, don't worry about it. It wasn't caused by the hepatitis B vaccine. If they had seizures a week later, it wasn't caused by the hepatitis B vaccine. And if they end up being autistic in 3 years, don't worry about it. Our study ended after 5 days. It's not caused by the vaccine. And there was no placebo group in this study. Science as we know it from high school, simple science on how you test if something is safe and effective, has never ever been done in our vaccine program. So it's unethical because 100 years ago when we started vaccinating for polio and smallpox, we decided this is so great, we are never ever going to test it again. Doesn't matter that there's 270 vaccines in the pipeline that will never be tested again. You need them, and they're the greatest things that ever existed. Yet 1 in 2 children now has a chronic illness in America. We have more babies die on the first day of life than every other industrialized nation combined. 1 in 4 children, yes, you America, you athletes over there that go jogging every day, your children, 1 in 4 is going to be on a drug they'll be on the rest of their lives. That's how great our medical system is. 250,000 people will be killed by hospitals this year for reasons other than they entered. Cancer on the rise, MS on the rise, autoimmune diseases, neurological diseases on the rise, out of control, exponential growth. Why do we even trust our medical system with stats like that? We have the sickest children in the industrialized world. We have the sickest generation of children America's ever seen. Again, I didn't get that from someone around a crystal ball. Those are our factual medical stats. And since it is unethical to do a safety study to test vaccines, we ask for one thing. We call that a prospective study, meaning we're going to follow kids and see if the ones that didn't get it got sicker than the ones that did. We refuse to do that study, which is how every drug is passed. So we ask for one thing, a retrospective study. We just want one simple thing. We have databases with millions of people in them. We want to compare those that were not vaccinated with those that were. The simplest study known to man, basically what every drug goes through. We want to know the health outcomes of the unvaccinated children in this nation. And you know what the top scientists of every one of our health departments is now telling us? We just cannot figure out a way to do that study. Can't figure it out. The top brain trust of our health department cannot figure out how to compare vaccinated kids with unvaccinated. There it is. There's all of your science in the United States of America that has to do with vaccines. We will not test it beforehand, and we cannot figure out how to test it afterhand. We do not have a surveillance system in place. You are basically taking a drug that we wish and hope works well for you. That's it. Faith. Faith-based science. It's a new religion. And everybody walking the streets today has signed up for this religion. Your God is a bunch of morons that cannot figure out how to test for vaccine safety. The numbers speak for themselves. This is a crisis. Autism is screaming out of control. Another brilliant statement by these geniuses at the head of our health departments: autism has always been here. Mark Blaxwell pointed out a few good points. That means that I think over the course of humanity, we've had, what, a billion and a half people with autism, but we only recognized they were here 60, 70 years ago. Is it even that far? 1930s. 1930s, we recognized that 1 in 68 people walking among us is constantly stemming, slamming their heads against the wall, incapable of holding a job. They've always been here, but now we finally recognize they're here. Wow! Are we so impressed by this scientific movement? Where is the March for Science celebrating this kind of genius? This is what we aspire to be. This is what we wanted our children to grow up to be. Don't do the science because you'll never figure it out. You're too stupid. That's where we're at. That's vaccine safety science in the US of A. And while we don't test it before we put it out, we won't test vaccines after they're out. We stand in front of a building and a flag. It's an honor to be here, by the way, in the greatest nation in the world. But this is supposed to represent freedom. It's supposed to represent our founding fathers that fought against the tyranny of a nation that was trying to tax them without representation, force laws upon them. And our founding fathers, a small group of people like the ones sitting here today, against all odds, said, you know what? We're losing here. We're losing the dream of the United States of America. And we're going to have to fight if we want to believe in it once again. And that fight is going to be ugly because on paper it looks really bad. They have the giant armada, the war machine designed. We have people with pitchforks and maybe a couple of rifles. But they got together and they said, what choice do we have if freedom is our goal? What choice do we have? We can't look at the numbers. We can't think about how small we are and how big we are. We have to think about how great we are. How great we are right now. We will never be healthier than we are right now. We will never be stronger right now. And we will never have freedom stronger than it is right now because it's getting weaker every single day. So when we don't do prospective studies on vaccines because it's unethical, and we don't do retrospective studies on vaccines because we can't figure out how to do it, then how can you mandate this product on us? How can you put this guessing game into the veins of our children? How can you take your lack of ability and your lack of science and pump it into us as a nation? And then stand aside as we put up the worst health stats this nation has ever seen. Their time has come. Just like the British Armada and all of their ships, I don't care. I don't care if they're standing, I don't care if they're surrounding this park right now, because we are going to win. We have the science. We have the truth. We are the ones that are right. I feel bad for everybody lined up across the parks that aren't sitting here right now because they don't know. They've been lied to. They've been lied to by a propaganda machine, not by a scientific machine. Many of those kids across the park, their minds are going to be destroyed by vaccines. Possibly a future president, possibly a scientist that could figure out how to compare vaccinated children with unvaccinated children. Just like the banking industry that destroyed this nation and our housing market and wiped out the middle class. Don't feel bad that we're not sitting here in huge numbers because only 4 people got that right. And what did they do? Were they smarter than everybody else? No. They just did their job. They didn't sit as news anchors and repeat what they were told by the banking industry. They actually said, hold on a second. Let me open up this folder and see what's inside of these housing loans. These CBOs, or what are they called, Mark? CBOs, CDOs? Whatever they are. I'm not a banker, but I watched a movie about it so I can talk about it. But the point is they opened it up and they looked inside and saw that houses were failing. They were going into foreclosures, and more houses with these more, adjustable rate mortgages were going to hit the wall. And they realized that the people buying these houses couldn't afford them, and this entire thing was fake. It was fake. It was just a matter of time before it was going to crumble under its own weight because it didn't work. It couldn't work. And the entire world was lied to on this. 4 people got it right. And I'm telling you, the people you've listened to today, Mark Blaxell and others, all they did was open up those folders. All they did when science said, the science is settled, vaccines are safe and effective, we have proof. We opened the folders to look at the proof, and it's not there. It doesn't exist. And the deeper you look, you find what they say. We aren't going to do the safety studies because we're so sure we've made the right call. It's going to crash. It's going to come down. There is no way, as the light shines down on a day that was supposed to be dark and gloomy, just as this light is shining down today, and we are here strong. The science is coming under the light. It's coming under the light of thousands and thousands of more people every single day. And the health departments are terrified because they've got nothing to support their claims. They've never done the science. They have nothing to say. And it's going to crumble, I assure you. So, for everyone across this park, if you want to be a millionaire, who wants to be a millionaire? Here's how you be a millionaire today. Short every single medical stock that makes vaccines. I'm telling you right now, within a year, Merck, Pfizer, Sanofi, Aventis are going to crash because of their lie. And you will be rich because of it. And maybe then we'll be able to use that money and start paying for the ocean of injury that's taking place in the United States of America from one of the most fraudulent medical practices that has ever existed, our vaccine program. I am not discouraged. I wish I saw empty chairs all the way across this field. And for all of you parents out there that couldn't come because you cannot leave your home, it's why this is a silent epidemic, because the damage is so severe. You can't get on a plane. You can't get in a bus. You can't take 3 days to travel. You can't stand in a restaurant because that child may have a meltdown. They may not be able to handle the moment. And so for all you parents out there, I know you're here with us today. I know the millions of you are out there. This today is a Million Man March. It's the million missing people that were supposed to be healthy in this country. Yeah! That is what's taking place here today. And that's what we're standing for today. And to Pfizer and Sanofi, Aventis and Merck, I have news for you. You better start packing your bags, and you better have a different investment, because you are going down. And for every vaccine safety science that took money from Merck or took money from Pfizer to lie to the American public, I have news for you today too. Just like the 5 people that were just arrested up in Flint, Michigan for lying to the people about the water from where? Our health department in in Michigan. That's who's going to jail. And for the 5 perpetrators of the fraud on the MMR study that Vax is about, visit your grandchildren. Say goodbye, because we are coming after you now. This is a beautiful day. There's a lot to be hopeful for. Don't listen to the weather reports, because the sun is shining down on those of us that know. And every day we grow, we move closer to winning, because the truth is the light. And we are the representatives of that light. Have hope and know we are going to win.